Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I am Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about Servant, Season 1, Episode 1. It is called Reborn, and this is another new Apple TV show. This is the one produced by M. Night Shyamalan. This first episode, maybe all the episodes, but this first one at least, is directed by M. Night Shyamalan as well. So this is about a nanny who's brought in to this couple in Philadelphia, who have got a nice big apartment. And they hire her, the episode opens with her coming in, and the creepy element to this is that the baby's not a real baby. It is a sort of fairly realistic and a creepy way looking doll. It's got kind of a...
More realistic than you would expect.
More realistic than a kid's toy. It's more... It feels like more effort's been put into it.
It kind of feels like a movie prop.
It does. I mean, I don't know if you actually get ones that are this realistic, but I'm okay with that bit of creative license to make it creepy for the sake of the story.
Yeah, sure.
And the wife of the couple, the Ginge from 6 Feet Under, this is how I'll describe her. Dorothy, played by Lauren Ambrose. She believes her child is real, and the husband does not. The husband, played by Toby Kebbell, who plays Sean Turner, he knows it's not real. This is something to help her with her breakdown because they lost their kid, about 13 weeks, and she went very unhealthy after it, and this has been a way to kind of nurse her back to health, and we don't know how long it's going to keep this up, but we have this new nanny in who is there to help because the wife believes they need a nanny.
Yeah, because she's going back to work.
Yeah, she's like a news reporter. She's like an on-screen, on location news reporter. So
I thought it was weird that he works from home.
He does, yes.
He is literally at home all day. So yeah, we'll hire a nanny to look after it. Could get the husband to do it.
I mean, I don't know. He needs to focus on his work all day, I guess.
Sure.
I mean, if I'm thinking about it, if you're trying to focus on your work, and he's like this fancy home chef who does things for restaurants, but also like his website or presumably or whatever, I guess it makes sense that it would be very annoying if you had to stop every 2 minutes to go and take care of the baby.
Probably. And
they're fairly well off. They look like they're fairly comfortable, so they can afford to hire one.
Yeah, no, they can, because they say how much they're paying. It's like $900 a month, and they're like, we got off easy. This was cheap. Yeah,
I could see that being cheap. I think the reason we get away with that is because it's a live-in nanny, so it's like, okay, you'll have to pay rent or anything, we'll pay you, and you've got a place to stay. Oh,
exactly. It's cheap in the sense of, overall for that. But it's still, okay, we can spend $900 on a nanny, just to be there all the time. That's fine.
Because $900 is not a lot for a full-time job a month. Not even.
No. It is not a lot to receive, but it is quite a lot to pay out of pocket. After your own wage, it was it's on an average wage, $900 a month being gone is a reasonable amount.
Oh yeah, but we've already established they're pretty wealthy, and wealthy people do things like this. I mean, do you think real nannies cost this little?
No. I was using this as justification as to show how they are clearly wealthy.
Okay, yes, they're very wealthy. I think the apartment shows they're clearly wealthy.
I mean, yeah, but TV logic on that can't be trusted, let's be honest.
Yeah, but this isn't the friend's apartment. This is like a clearly rich person's apartment.
It is, yeah. It has a wine cellar.
It has a wine cellar and floors. Yeah, I mean, I'm calling it apartment because it's in like a block of buildings, but I mean, it's really just a giant house.
Yeah.
So that's the gist of the episode. There's obviously, I'll just say the nanny's kind of creepy, right? I'll just leave it at that for spoiler free, because we're starting spoiler free, of course, because it is the first episode, and we'll give you a warning before we go into any spoilers. So Connor, we did watch the trailer for this, and we were kind of unsure what to think of it from the trailer. So what did you think of episode 1 of Servant?
It's okay. I feel like it's kind of generic feeling. The direction's good enough. There were some very nice moments and shots in there. The overall tone kind of feels pretty generic, and the music in particular, right from like the very first second, it's just generic string stabs. That was bugging me because it was just straight away. It was just, this is your generic horror string sound. But I mean, it's fine. It's not terrible.
Yeah, I thought it was all right. I think You can play about the strings there, but I'm okay with those sharp strings because I feel like they're overdone in trailers, but for some reason, like I feel like generic horror movies more often don't use the sharp strings. They use the slower, more romantic, creepy.
Okay, I don't mind the use of them. It was the problem for me that it was from the very, very first second, before there was anything creepy. It was just there. I'm like, this bit doesn't need to have the creepy strings. Like this bit can be the normal bit, and then it can get creepy.
The only part that bothered me about the start was the stuff before the title, because there was this like weird little, really fake looking sort of like hallway, and like you see the sort of baby looking over the shoulder, like behind the door. I thought that was a bit weird and kind of put me in a weird mood. However, once it actually started properly, I actually thought the direction really went a long way to make this feel like it had enough merit in it to sort of be worth watching, because it was very specific direction the whole time. There was a lot of like close-ups where the people were looking at the cameras. They did, it was a very intentional, in-your-face style of shooting. You have the opening like few minutes of it make a point of not revealing the faces of the couple, especially the husband. They kind of hold back on that, and it gives it this kind of unique feeling. There's a lot of as much as because it's funny because the extreme close-ups come in after 5 or 10 minutes, but the first few minutes it's intentionally a lot of wider shots where you can't really make out faces that well. It's very kind of far back and distant. I thought the direction was really, really good, to be honest. But the only problem I have really with the episode, because it's better than I thought it would be. The trailer didn't really make me feel particularly hopeful. It's a lot better than I thought it would be. The only real issue I have with the premise of this is that even from one episode, and it's a short episode admittedly, it's 35 minutes, which is notable because the other Apple shows we've tried have all been a full hour that we've sampled. We did the first episode of C and the first episode of For All Mankind, and they were both a full hour. This was 35 minutes, which is nice. They're not, I mean, arguably they could just have 5, hour episodes as opposed to 10, 30-something minute episodes.
That won't fill out your weeks.
That's true. And besides, I mean, who knows what the length of the rest of them are? We've not checked. So, I mean, it could be up and down. It could be,
it could be.
Episode 2 could be 2 hours long for all I know. But I hope not. But
it's almost certainly not.
Yeah.
But...
Hey, you never know. Too Old to Die Young's trained me to be weary of...
Oh, that threw us big time.
Consistency. But my only real complaint is that it does kind of feel like it might overstay its welcome in terms of its concept, because it feels like it's something that's perfect for a 90-minute, even 2-hour movie. I'm not sure I'm convinced that a 5 to, like, say, 8-hour TV show, especially when this is not a limited series. This is something that's potentially going to have a season 2. In fact, I think it's already renewed because IMDb already have a season 2 page up for it. So I think there's going to be more. And I got the feeling just watching this episode. I actually really like the pacing of this. I like how it's teasing things out. I like the way it's shot. And again, it's really just the way it's shot more than anything. That's selling me on the moments. It was the way it was presenting, like how someone would look in a room or how someone would interact with the fake baby or whatever. It was all the compositions that were working for me and kind of the starkness of it. It's not doing anything super like original, or I wouldn't say the writing's like amazing, but I think it's serviceable enough for the good direction, which M. Night Shyamalan is capable of.
He is. The question is he directing all of it? I mean,
I don't know.
I don't know. It's funny you talk about the pacing. This was only 35 minutes or so, but I kind of thought it was a little bit too long in a sense of for where we get to at the end, which was I won't say, but it is a beat that was kind of presented in the trailer. So if you've seen that, there are things that you might be able to figure out. Okay,
I'm not going to judge the show based on what was put in the trailer.
No, that's fine. It's not a problem with the beat itself. We'll discuss that later.
I mean, there's always the chance that Shyamalan has no control over what's in the trailer. Most directors don't.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I'm not actually judging the trailer here. I was just saying, if you've seen that, you might be aware of an element. So that beat that that is revealed at the end of the episode, I feel like okay, that's the big crook of okay, this is what we're here for. Now that's what the show is, and I felt like I actually kind of took a long time getting to that moment. That I felt like I was just kind of waiting for something for at least 5 or 10 minutes out of the 35.
Yeah, I mean, I'll admit, right at this point, Rupert Grint's in here as like the wife's brother. I thought it was funny how they cast like someone else that's ginger to be the brother. Because when he first showed up, I was like, I wonder what one he's the brother of, and I was like, oh, it must be her because he's ginger.
Yeah, that'll do it.
And both him and Toby Kebbell are doing American accents. To be honest, Kebbell's never really stood out to me, so which means he's doing a good job. I think Grint, I don't know if it's just because I'm more familiar with his voice, but it was sticking out to me a little bit.
I was thinking the same. That Kebbell's, it was fine. But like I say, Grint is someone who you kind of know what he sounds like pretty well, so you kind of notice it more. It's I don't know. Like I'm thinking of like whenever Daniel Craig does an American accent, it bothers the hell out of me because I know exactly what he sounds like.
Yeah, that's fair. Or even these Harry Potter co-stars, like Daniel Radcliffe doing an American accent is pretty painful to listen to.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
That was the first, because I'm pretty sure that movie Horns that came from the Joe Hill story. I'm pretty sure he's doing an American accent in that, if I remember right. And I think that was one of the first things that was like, oh, okay, that's a big hurdle for me to get over.
Yeah, and some of them like are better than others. Some of them it's not even that the accent itself is that bad. It's just it's wrong, so your brain just has this disassociation with it.
Yeah, it's kind of, I don't know, some people, and I'm thinking particularly British actors here, they do like kind of a whiny American accent. It doesn't sound natural. It sounds like a really put on whiny kind of version of an accent. It's the sort of thing where I always crack the joke that Alexis Denisov, who plays Wesley on the hit television show Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and of course its spin-off Angel, I always joke that his American accent, which is his real accent, because he's doing an English accent for the shows, is that it sounds more fake than his English one. And that's because he has a naturally kind of whiny American accent, but I associate that with faking it, because I feel like whenever a British person who's doing an American accent falls into something that sounds kind of often generic, it tends to be the whiny one.
No, I get that. I mean, to be fair, there are some who do it like fantastic. I mean, Christian Bale is probably the best example.
There's tons of British actors who do great American accents.
But I think Christian Bale stands out as when people hear him in interviews, they go, "Hang on, he sounds like that." Like even people who have seen a lot of his films will have that reaction, and it kind of throws people where it just sounds wrong to them, right? Even though that's his natural accent.
But of course, I mean, there's tons of British actors who do it, you don't even think twice about it, just because they're good at it. But there's definitely some that stick out, and it was just, I don't know, Grint was sticking out to me a little bit in the scene. No, I was mostly pretty positive. I mean, I think like his stuff, like I'm sure his character will have a purpose. The more the story goes on. In this episode, it felt like it was just, here's a scene with him to establish that he's around, so that he can appear later. More than anything else, but
I think it bothers me as a pointless scene when he was mentioned earlier, like as as the brother was mentioned. So it's kind of okay. We know that the brother is in play, so having a scene actually having him there just felt like a bit redundant in this episode when he didn't have anything to do.
That's fair, but I like the pacing of the rest of the episode though, because I thought the slow pacing of the all the little things like. Toby Kebbell going around and making food and hearing something weird or seeing something a little bit weird, or all these little moments are kind of like, it's kind of the point of the show. Like, if you're not here and going to enjoy the creepy build, because that's what 90% of this show is going to be, is the build.
Yeah,
it's going to be a lot of building, and there'll be payoffs. There's a little payoff at the end of this episode. There'll be payoffs, presumably maybe at the end of every episode, but there'll definitely be a big one towards the end. Like, that's what the show's going to be. So it is definitely a horror show. I mean, I think it's very clear that this is a horror show. I mean, right at the start, as you say, it maybe makes it too obvious, but I kind of appreciate how stark the style is. It doesn't feel to me like a lot of the crappy movies that me and Tim do. It feels like it's a bit more artistically focused, and by that I just mean that there's someone who had a vision and is like, okay, I'm going to do this. For whether you like it or dislike it, it feels like there's a passion behind it. I can feel some passion.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. Did you check if he was directing the rest?
He's not doing episode 2, so he's not doing all 10.
So maybe he's doing just the last one, if any others after this.
Possible. I mean, they may all be here. I don't know. Nah, it's only the first 3 I've got the information for.
Okay. Well, I mean, it's a little disappointing in the sense of, okay, if that's the big hook of You agreed the direction is probably what makes this better than average.
It's the best part about it, and which to be fair with the horror genre, that often is what makes a good horror movie. Usually, it tends to be the best thing about a good horror movie is the direction.
It does, yeah. I agree with that. Which just not that I'm saying okay, no, all the other directors are going to be bad. They might be very good directors, but there is just a concern in the back of my head that okay, are they going to match up to it, or is it going to feel like a step down, like we often see in TV shows with the first episode as a guest director, and it sets the tone and the style, but then after that, it does often feel like a step down, even though they're trying to emulate this, the style.
Yeah. Very quickly find out they'll be watching episode 2. Which is there. It's worth mentioning the first 3 episodes all went up together, and then they're going to be weekly from then on. So, which seems to be Apple's model, barring the odd show where they put the full thing up.
Do you know if they're sticking with Thursdays for air? Because obviously all their other shows, before launched on a Friday, and I assume they've been dropping Fridays. I've not really been keeping up with them. Obviously these have dropped on a Thursday, which is different. Most of these streaming services like the Friday day, for whatever reason.
Yes, it's sticking with Thursday.
Okay.
So we'll give a spoiler warning then, I think, just so we can talk about what's in the show. But if you're interested in a horror show with a sort of slow build, I would recommend checking it out. I think it's worth doing that for. But we'll move into spoilers, although just before we do that, I will take this time to thank our Patreon producers of David Short, Alison M. Fordyce, Cindy Palacios, Tyler Hess, and Talking Superman. They're our Patreon producers for the month of November 2019. And thank you to all them. That means that they are $20 or up on patreon.com/MailFuzzTV, where you can go and support us for as little as $1 per month and get some bonus items, some cut-out tangents, some bonus episodes of some of our movie podcasts. $5 and up get you voting rights on some of the movie shows, some early content and things like that. So go and have a look and see if you're interested, and keep all the content coming with support. But full spoilers then for Servant. So the big thing is at the end is that the fake baby turns into a real baby, and this is the big shock for Toby Kebbell's character, because obviously we start the episode, the nanny shows up and she's kind of quiet and he kind of comments on it, she's a bit quiet and weird, and we see that she's kind of religious, she's praying, and he because he's getting bottles of water for him and his wife, and he's like, oh, I'll get a third one and give it to the new person in the house. And there's like a one small suggestive moment here where the camera kind of sort of goes up our body a little bit, as if he's maybe kind of thinking of her in a sexual way.
Yeah, I thought that was a weird moment in the sense that every other moment of the show is very much he's not interested. Is the way it kind of plays it, except this one beat here where it is the opposite.
Well, no, it kind of works because later on, the wife, when he's being kind of critical of her and like sort of voicing his concerns of her being too religious and kind of weird, the wife has this really sort of like really sort of abrasive line where she says, oh, you're just mad that there's like a hot young, or there's a young pussy in the house that you're not interested in. So I almost took like his moment of like checking her out was kind of him sort of like, am I interested? And then sort of realizing that he's not,
I think I can buy that. I don't really get that from his reaction at the end of that shot to tell me that no, he's not interested. Because when he walked away, he just decided not to interrupt her because she was praying.
Yeah, but it's not like he was smirking because he was into her either. It wasn't like
no, it wasn't. I felt it was very non-committal in the sense that it didn't really do anything one way or the other. But it didn't do anything after he clearly he had the look that he was checking her out, as talk about with the camera, and there was nothing for him that was like that maybe think that he wasn't interested after that, because there was no reaction from him.
I mean, I don't know if it needs to necessarily.
Fair enough.
I don't know if it needs to, but throughout the episode, like because the first real creepy thing with her is that she has because the wife leaves for work the first time she's leaving the next day, and he's like, okay, I suppose we need to talk. He says to Nell Tiger Free, the nanny, what's her name? Leanne, says to Leanne, okay, we should probably talk about this, right? And he explains the backstory of the show and why like we've got this fake baby, and basically we don't know how long this is going to last, but you're paid for a month, you're going to be here for at least a month, so it's 15 minutes to the city, you can go and have fun, like you don't have to do anything while she's not here, You don't have to like keep the charade going, but she keeps like rocking the baby, the fake baby, and seems to also think it's real.
Yeah, she is very much kind of in on it from the start. It becomes clear as it goes on.
Yeah, and she's always concerned. There's a great moment later on because we see at one point when he goes into the room early on to look at the baby, he kind of picks it up by the leg and lets his head hit the crib, and obviously just to sort of establish that it's fake, right? This is the first time it really reveals it to us. Even, I mean, we know it's the concept. If you've seen the trailer, you know what it's about, but.
If you'd gone in blind, this was your reveal.
Yeah, and then later on, he kind of throws it down, and its head hits the stairs, and like Leanne's at the top of the stairs watching this, and it's almost like she's caught him abusing a child, but obviously he's like, oh, it's a doll.
It's a doll. Who did the shit?
Whatever. He does seem to be overly aggressive with it, like he's going out of his way to be a dick to because he's mad about it. But
I think he just kind of is a bit bitter about the entire situation.
Yeah, he's resentful that he's having to go through this charade that his wife just can't get over.
Because there's a bit where he says, they've not even told anyone that the baby's died, so he probably hasn't had a chance to mourn.
Well, we see that early on because that scene where he first picks it up out of the crib, he actually starts weeping in the corner. So it does give us a sense that he is not a completely stoic asshole. There is like some emotion in there, which is cool. But he finds like that Leanne's like leaving these like talismans that she's making, these religious sort of talismans. There's one in a drawer, and later on he finds one over the baby's crib.
I assumed it was the same one that she just hung up.
It might be, yeah, maybe.
It's kind of like a patchwork cross.
It was giving me Wicker Man or Blair Witch vibes, to be honest.
Yeah, it was definitely shaped into a cross.
And at the end of the episode, he goes in, and the baby's real. So so there's kind of a double. There's a sort of mini twist in that she seems to think the baby's real as well, which is really weird and creepy. And then the big twist at the end is that no, the baby is real. And of course, there's the argument that somehow he's going crazy, right? And that'll be a possibility. At least until we're given evidence to suggest otherwise. But at least right now, I'm thinking it's entirely possible that he's losing it. And
yeah, it's 50-50, right?
Yeah, or this Leanne is actually part of like a witchcraft cult or something and has turned the baby real through her dark magics, and that's also possible, or some such variation of, and there we go.
It's interesting that it does feel so witchcrafty with her, given that and we're talking about she's very religious. She's literally praying. It's the Lord's Prayer. She's there, and it's not, I wouldn't say normal. It's very kind of like Middle Ages religious is how it feels, which is probably why it feels witchy in that sense.
Yeah, because they want to have a toast after she's settled in to celebrate that she's arrived, and she's like, I'm 18, and they're like, oh yeah, of course, and they feel kind of awkward.
I'm not gonna lie, that took me a few seconds. I was like, and I was like, oh yeah, 18. I was like, never mind.
Yes, different country, different drinking age.
I completely forgot for a second, and it said it. I was like, yeah, and what's the problem? I was like, oh, okay.
And the funny thing is that, I mean, like, I feel like it's probably pretty common for adults to give 18-year-olds booze. It's still kind of a weird line coming from her. It still paints her as kind of a weirdo. At least the way she does it. Like, I mean, I'm someone who's never drank, so if, whenever I'm offered a drink, I say, no, I'm good, I don't drink. But, like, the way she sort of sits there kind of morbidly and goes, I'm 18, and just stares at them.
It feels like moral righteousness.
Yes.
It's like, no, I'm 18. You should not be doing this.
Well, yeah, because he complains like a minute later to her in private that he doesn't want to feel judged every time he has a drink in the house. Which, I'll be honest, someone saying I don't want to feel judged when I have a drink is usually a good sign that you're probably at least bordering on alcoholism. I
don't know, because it presents that he'll, he's doing his job, he's cooking, and he'll get a glass of wine to go along with it. I don't think that's bordering on alcoholism at all. I think that's pretty fine.
No. I never made a comment based on anything he actually does. It was just based on his line that he doesn't want to feel judged for having a drink. Him feeling to say that implies that there's something to judge.
No, I get that. I think that's from the feeling that he's getting of from her, like the idea of, oh no, drinking is bad. So even just having one in the day would feel like she would be judging him. I get it.
No. I think there's something here. He's feeling insecure about it now.
I don't think he is, because he also says, "I don't want to. I don't want to feel weird when I jerk off when she's in the house."
Oh, this was a great exchange of dialogue, where the wife says, "Don't you dare jerk off while she's in the house," and he's like, "Watch me." To be fair to him, she's living there. She's going to be there all the time.
Yeah, I mean, there's a point where he's like, "Well, I'll just send her." She's going out to town anyway, right? Is what he's thinking at this point.
Oh, sure, yeah. But even if she didn't know, like, what's she supposed to do? She's there all the time.
It's his house.
Yes. There's nothing wrong with him going into his bedroom or his office, wherever he wants to, his man cave. We know he's got a man cave because it's mentioned when she's getting a tour of the house. There ain't nothing wrong with him going in there and knocking one out.
No. But, again, he feels like he has to be judged. And you're saying, oh, no, that's fine. So is having the drink. He is not being insecure.
No, because he doesn't say he's going to be judged for jerking off. I'm pretty sure, does he?
I'm pretty sure he does, because I don't want to feel judged by when he's doing that.
I think he phrases it the same way, but whatever. Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. What do you want from me?
I want you to admit that you were wrong.
Nah, I'm not wrong. Nah, I'm not wrong. It's fine. He's got a drinking problem. It's okay. I mean, to be fair, we literally see him have like a bottle of wine every time he's cooking.
I don't think he has a whole bottle.
He opens the bottle. How do you know at the end of this episode the reason why he's seen a baby is just because he's not blind drunk?
Okay, we don't know that. I will grant you, but we only ever see him pouring a glass. We don't see him refilling it. There is. I think if that was trying to be insinuating that, okay, maybe he's blind drunk, we'd see him refilling the glass a couple of times to make that point.
Oh, wait, I get your point, but here's the thing. If they show him... And I'm not seriously suggesting the reason why he's seen a baby at the end is because he's drunk, but here's the thing. It doesn't matter if logically you can explain it. If in the filmmaking it's showing you him pouring a glass often enough, it feels like a lot, even if you can logically say, well, it's actually all these different times, so there's nothing actually wrong with it. But it does give us the impression he's drinking a lot.
I disagree. It gives you the impression he drinks routinely. There is a difference between routine. Oh no,
this is semantics. No. You're arguing with now just for the sake of argument. You know fine well that if you show something often enough, and when I say often enough, I mean 3 times. The rule of threes. If you show something 3 times in the space of an episode, and we definitely see him pouring 3 different glasses of wine in this episode.
Yeah.
Right.
Although we do see him pour one down the sink as well. To be fair.
We do. That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. That could have been his 4th of the ball. I mean, for all we know. But...
I mean, I'm pretty sure he tried it and changed his mind and went, do you know what? That's not going to work with this meal. And then he went down and picked out a white instead of a red.
Yeah, probably. Yes.
Yeah, pretty sure that's exactly what happened.
Yes. So, you know, we also can't gloss over the other weird scene in which Leanne milks... what's her face? Dorothy, the wife, because she's having pains.
Yep.
She's having pains. I can't remember what she called it, but it's basically. Sorry, say it again.
Mastitis.
Yeah, but basically, you know, I mean, I got from context what it was. It's just this, you know, she did give birth, so obviously she is still producing milk.
But it's not being used.
So she just comes in and starts, you know, milking her, basically. And there's a great shot in this scene of like just some of the milk sort of clouding the water. Like it's just a shot of the water. Very, very creepy, very surreal scene. Very intimate, and for 2 characters that really shouldn't be this intimate, you know.
I think it plays as extra weird because we see her, you know, doing this earlier. With the husband's in the room with her. You know, he sat over on the toilet and they're talking, and he's just like, "Oh, will you stop playing with your tits?" And she's like, "No, I'm actually, you know, doing something here. There, you know, I'm sorting something out. There's something wrong." And he doesn't offer to do, you know, to help. He just stands there and, you know, sits there and just carries on. Whereas she makes an effort to try and help, which is, you know, the complete opposite. Yeah,
it's just kind of like verging into Tully territory, where not that I think it's going to go the same way as Tully, but like the idea that like the nanny's there to fulfill like everything the wife needs that he is kind of letting go. I think ultimately this show is going to be about how the death of a child has kind of broken down their marriage and their relationship, and how, you know, he's more concerned with her just getting better so they can go back to normal because he's sick of this, as opposed to actually trying to help her and trying, you know, like be there for all these little things and be understanding of what she's going through. And likewise, maybe we'll sort of discover throughout the show as well that she's not really been there for him in similar ways. Maybe we'll see it's kind of an equal-sided kind of breakdown on their behalf, because, you know, because like I say, we see him weeping and we know she's going through a lot because she's seeing a real baby but there isn't one. And unless it tries to play some sort of weird twist where it was real the whole time and he's the crazy one because I mean, it can't, because the brother also mentions it, but you know what I mean, like...
Yeah, I was going to say, otherwise that would, you know, the scenes where he just kind of ragdolls it around would seem very vicious in hindsight.
Yeah, very dark scenes if that turns out to be the case. So, you know, I like it. I think most of it works because it has a creepy tone. The direction's pretty solid, and the twist is interesting. And like, if the whole next episode is the baby being there for real, and he's like freaking out because like, what's going on? Like,
yeah, I think my biggest fear of what it would do is, you know, we'd open it kind of on this same beat. You know, it's real, and he goes, oh, you know, can't handle this. Goes out of the room. Comes back and, oh look, it's a doll again, and we have to do it all again.
Yeah, that would be the boring choice. I think the most interesting choice is to spend at least a full episode before it goes back to being a doll. Like, spend a full episode where like he's hearing it crying, he's hearing different things, because there's one moment where he's down the wine cellar where he thinks he hears something for a second, you know.
Yeah, and she put the baby monitor in the kitchen.
Yeah. So no, I mean, again, I think it could actually be exploring some pretty, you know, deep stuff, some deep character stuff. Through the guise of this horror story, which is nice. So no, cool. As for whether or not we'll review any more of this, we'll see how much of the interest is there for episode 1. You know, see how many people watch it, listen to it. Let us know in the comments if you want more. But that is episode 1 of Servant. So that is Apple TV Plus's new show. So I'm still getting used to saying their stupid name.
What a mouthful.
So yeah, so let us know what you thought of the episode in the comments below. Like and subscribe, all the usual things. You can help us out, of course, by rating the podcast on Apple Podcasts. Fitting, we're on, you know, Apple Podcasts. You know, go Synergy. Go there, rate us 5 stars, give us a review, helps us out, lets more people find us. You can support us financially, as mentioned earlier, with patreon.com/MailFuzzTV. So go do that. Get us on Twitter at mail_fuzz for channel updates. Check out other shows we're reviewing. Right now, the big stuff is Mr. Robot and Watchmen and Mandalorian, so go check out those. But that's us, so thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching TV, guys. Have you got any vanilla?